started up. But thank you guys. Appreciate y'all coming in. And we know next time if we do this to not tell y'all to get here so early. I know some of y'all been here for a while, so I appreciate the patience. But just want to first introduce myself. My name is Morgan O'Mara, and I'm with State Employees Credit Union. And I manage the branch over off of Regency Drive. And one of the reasons why we are doing this event is because we have seen over the years, and I know we got a lot of other financial institutions here have seen the same thing. It's just an increase in scams and fraud. I mean, it's so much so that it's no lie, on a daily basis, we're constantly seeing some type of fraud or scam, anything along those lines. And so Lisa Moss, I don't know if she's in here right now. A lot of y'all know her. She also works at the branch with me. Her and I had talked about for a number of years of like offering some big type of scam awareness or fraud awareness event in the community just to hope bring more awareness, but never really had the ability or to get things going. EK, who is up here, I think he's helping trying to figure this out. He is a detective with the police department, but we'll introduce them all here in a minute. There's EK. Him and I were working on a case together. I like saying we were working on a case together. It makes me feel like I'm a policeman or something. But we were working on this case together and got to know each other a little bit better. And it started talking about this, like, man, this is crazy. He's seeing it too. We're seeing it. We should do something. And he said that we should do something for the community and bring awareness. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. We've been thinking about doing that. I've been talking about this. So this is the second year we've done it. Last year it was a little bit smaller. And our hope and plan is to keep growing this and keep offering it. Maybe not do the same boring thing every year, but just try to mix it up, bring in new people and everything along those lines. And so this year we're setting this up kind of like a little bit of a panel discussion. The one thing that I'll just ask is please try to hold off on questions during all this. At the very end, we're going to do like a question and answer session. And then we got this building all day long. So y'all afterwards, you can come up one-on-one and talk to us. We'll be here. We have outside those tables, if you hadn't seen it, there's a number of different financial institutions that are in Clayton. We kind of all join forces to, if you're not a member of the credit union and you bank with someone else, that you go talk to them, and they got information as well. But yeah, we'll be here. We'll be here all day if you need it, if you need us. So let me introduce the panel. Oh, one other thing I'll say is that if y'all need to use the restroom, just walk out this door straight ahead and you'll run into it. This might last about 2 hours, so you will not hurt my feelings if you got to stand up and go leave. Even if you have to leave for the day or you're just tired of hearing me blabber on, you can leave. You won't hurt my feelings. But yeah, I'll introduce the panel. Y'all, if you want to say who you are, where you work at, how you're involved in scams. Stacy, you want to start?
Okay, sure. Yeah. My name is Stacy Farrell. I work for the State Employees Credit Union. I'm the Financial Exploitation Prevention Manager. It's a mouthful. We support all of our branches when our members are involved in scams or have been scammed. So we unfortunately have to deal with this all of the time. So any questions that you have about common scams, we're going to get to a lot of that, but I'll be glad to talk with anybody after as well.
My name is Kamivi Kule. I work at the Clayton Police Department. I've been here for 4 years now. I'm one of the investigators, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. Before I came into investigation, this gentleman right here, Patrick Malone, he's been doing it for many years now, and he was my model. So he's here if there's any question. It's something that I can answer. He's here to support and try to answer all the questions. We work a lot of these fraud cases in conjunction with federal agencies, FBI, IRS, Secret Service, the ones that we can't do here in Clayton. We try to have them help us. And so I'm looking forward to answer some of the questions that you might have.
I'm John Mack. I'm the IT director here for the town of Clayton. I've been in IT for, going on 20 years. So I don't directly work on scams like the financial institutions or the police department, but I do deal with some technology type scams, phishing attacks every day. So I've got a lot of experience with that.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just go over kind of a high level of a lot of the common scams that we see. And so again, just hitting just the high points on this, just to kind of give a big overview. We're going to get into the meat of all these scams when we get into talking and interrogating the panel. I get to interrogate a police officer today. I'm pretty excited. So the first, probably the most common scam that we see a lot is the sweetheart scams, the romance scams. I mean, basically, these are very common when folks meet each other online through random text messages. They go from meeting to being married and in love in 2 seconds. And these folks are real good at what they do and convince you to fall in love with them and convince you to send them money. Everybody here knows somebody that was affected by one of these, I'm guessing. So that's probably the most common. The other scams, they all kind of fall, we call them bad news scams. These are all the ones that you receive bad news. So IRS, you owe money to the IRS, you better pay us, we're going to come and arrest you. Social Security, you missed jury duty, we're going to come arrest you for that too unless you pay a fee. Imposter scams is just when folks are pretending to be police or financial institution, and again, back to money, convince you to send money to them. There's the kidnap, ransom, the grandparent scams. These are all kind of where you get a phone call that your grandson or your child might have been kidnapped. Or with the grandparent scam, your child might be at spring break and got into an accident or something, and it's not really your child or grandchild that's calling, but they convince you that they need bail money or they need you to pay some sort of lawyer fee, something along those lines. So then there's the good news scams, right? You won the lottery, you won sweepstakes, free vacation, prize, rebate. All you need to do is just pay the taxes and you'll get millions of dollars. See this one a lot too. Yeah, if it's too good to be true, it's not the case. Then you got the tech support scams. These are a lot of them. I know y'all probably see these too. A lot of pop-ups, phone calls stating that there's some sort of issue with your device. Giving remote access. My own mom fell for that one. She had a pop-up on her computer, and it was asking her, saying that there's an issue with your computer, and the screen kind of went weird, and it was call this number, and she did it, and they walked her through on how to get it fixed, but what she was doing was giving them access to her computer. And then they started asking her to send money through gift cards and all this stuff, and that's when she realized it was a scam. The charity scams. This one is basically fake charities. They contact you or you see it online or somehow you get in touch with these folks and they're just trying to get you to donate to the charity. And it sounds good, but it's fake. The home repairs, these are more like in person. So it might be someone coming to your door telling you to get solar panels for your house, telling you that you got some shingles missing on your roof or something wrong with your house, and they say, we're here, we're just coming along, noticed it, we'll be happy to fix it for you. Or it could be that you maybe contact some shady contractor and they're saying that they can do all this remodeling for you. All you got to do is just pay $10,000 up front and then they walk away. So, or they just do a very horrible job and it all starts falling apart. A lot of these scams, this one, and including a lot of the past ones, is that they really pressure you. It's just kind of like if you ever get that and you feel pressured, that's a red flag. They're saying you got to do this, hurry, hurry, quick, your whole roof's about to fall off unless I save you type thing. Rental scams. So a lot of these are just fake ads, or they might be real rental listings for like a vacation home or a home. And it might be a real listing. They just went in there and changed contact information. So when you reach out, you're talking to someone else and they get you set up and take your first month's deposit and walk away. And they're never there. If it sounds real good to be true, you know, really good deal, too good to pass it up, that type of thing. So then there's the family fraud, and unfortunately we see this one a whole lot as well. These are where it's your own family members, kids, grandkids, brothers, sisters, whoever it is, cousins, that takes advantage of you. A lot of this goes into, which you'll probably hear a lot of, like elder abuse. We're not going to dive a whole lot into elder abuse today, just because that is a whole nother thing that we could talk about all day long. But this is just where they take advantage of you. And it could be where there's maybe some sort of cognitive decline that can happen to any of us, and then they just swindle their way in to take all your money. So what we're going to do, y'all met the panel. And so again, I'm going to just drill them with these hard questions. So don't make it hard. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to make it hard for them. But we'll go ahead and get started. So after talking about this, Stacy, I'll start with you. Talking about these scams in your line of work, what do you see most common, and is there any story that you'd like to share on it?
Yeah, I would say there's two that ring the most bell for me as far as the largest monetary loss that we see. And that would be first, tech support scams. We're seeing a huge increase in the amount of money people are losing for these scams. These often come up, and I actually had it happen to me. This is the line of work I'm in, and it's shocking to see on your computer, it popped up. You do not turn your computer off. You know, it's all these flashing, scary things. And it even said something about pornography. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is my work computer. What am I going to do? So of course I shut my computer down and turned it off and called our support department. So just warning, if you see anything like that, don't react, calm down, pause. What happens is folks then click on it or call the phone number that's there, and they get to the scammers. So Microsoft, any of those companies are never going to call you or have a pop-up like that. So just know it's not legitimate. When they get to the scammer, they give the scammer access to their computer. So then they have everything on their computer. They can lock everything down. Oftentimes they'll have the person log into their online banking. So then they have passwords. And then they start with the fear tactics. We've had a lot recently who transfer people to the fraud department within, they think they're calling their financial institution's fraud department. They even give an employee number. That person convinces them to go withdraw the money from their institution, and what we see so commonly now is to deposit it into a cryptocurrency ATM. So I don't know if any of you have seen those in the gas stations. Never put money in a cryptocurrency ATM. That's almost always a scam. Another big one is gift cards. If they ask you to purchase gift cards and then read the numbers off the back of them, that is a scam. So there's a lot of threats, and the thing that I see is they really instruct the people not to be open with their financial institution. So we may see red flags and say, has somebody asked you to send money? And they don't tell us the truth. So we're really working to help get to the bottom of it, to know that it's a scam, but they're told by the scammers not to say anything. So that's just one tip, is to open up with your financial institution and really be honest, and we can help get to the bottom of the scam. The second one is the romance scam, like Morgan mentioned. And I would say it's not even just romance. So it could be a dating website. It could be Facebook. It could be Words with Friends. It could be any of those social media likes. Sometimes it's famous celebrity imposters who are pretending to be celebrities and have a relationship with you. Bottom line is, if they start asking you for money, it's a scam. Don't send any money to those folks. And just talk to somebody that you trust, talk to your financial institution, just to limit those types of scams.
All right, thank you. John, same question. What do you commonly see? Any
So-
stories you can share too?
Yeah, so from my perspective, we see a lot of phishing emails. So basically, it's fake emails that appear to come from some legitimate organization, maybe a bank, credit card company, and typically you can detect a phishing scam because there's some misspelled words in there. The sender address is coming from a Gmail account when it's saying it's from PNC or from MasterCard. So some of those things are kind of quick flags that you can tell that it's probably not real. Also, typically your financial institution's not going to send you an email and ask for personal information, and so we do see a lot of those. Most of the financial ones, actually a story that I've had, entity I work for, one of the finance team did receive an email from a company that they worked with, and it was, so they were already caught off guard. They were already used to dealing with this company, and the company's email actually got hacked. So it looked like it actually came from said company, and they asked to change their bank account information online. The person that received the email, they didn't suspect anything. They went ahead and updated the account information and deposited some funds into the scam account, a lot of money. Luckily, I think they were able to get most of that back, but it definitely went on for a while, and it caused more financial headache trying to get to the bottom of it. So that's just one example. You probably get these emails every day in your inbox, and so my advice is just to make sure that you read, make sure you're looking at the words, and like we were discussing, don't react. Think about it, calm down. The best thing is to try to think critically when you're dealing with these things.
All right, thank you. So Detective EK, he's had a rough morning this morning. He had his car broken into, right? Yeah. But so I won't be too hard on you. So one of the biggest questions that we get a lot is, who are these scammers? Money mules, we hear that term a lot. Can you explain like who these scammers are and what is a money mule?
Yes, so scammers, it's just a basic term that everybody is using now because it's very popular. Anybody can identify or understand it. But really, they are criminals. That's who they are. They are criminals. And most of the time, it's not just one person who is sitting in the room somewhere doing this. It's a huge organized crime group, most of the time not from this country. And so what they do is, you've heard them talk about romance scam and all this stuff. What they do is there's somebody who's the big guy who also recruited people. Like if you've been in the military or any of paramilitary organizations, you know there's a chain of command. Somebody who is probably, I would say, a captain has, lieutenants. And the lieutenant has sergeants, and the sergeant has little people. So what they do is, you work for me, so you're trying to scam 5 people today, and then you have X amount of money that you're going to get paid, and they work hard. So you might get emails and text messages, and you might think, oh, this guy loves me. Oh, he texts me 10 times a day. Oh, he has time for me. No, he's getting paid. So that's how it gets started. And then initially when they start, they use you, you spend your own money. And then when they figure out that they've used you, you don't have any more money, then you become what we call money mule. Because at that point, they've had you open an account and you use your money to send them through that account. So what they do is, now you've become the co-worker. So they'll scam somebody else and they'll ask them to send money to you. And they'll be telling that somebody else, oh, they love them too. They'll be saying the same story. But now they tell them that you are a friend of them, a friend of theirs, and they're going to send money to, that person is going to send money to you for you to send to them. And so the middle person has become a money mule. Basically, the money comes through you, and it's just to hide the origin of that money, and it makes it harder on the law enforcement to find out who they are. So if you are talking to somebody and they're making all these times for you, they're sweet talking you, they're doing all this stuff, basically they are prepping you. After they finish taking everything from you, you're going to become basically like a water hose. The money is going through. You know, they get it from somebody and it just goes through you and it goes to somebody else. And you're not going to be the only person. When we go through all this stuff, we start tracing crypto, for example. Like yesterday, I was doing an investigation and I found, you know, I just put in one number, the wallet, and it gives me, in like 1 second, it gave me like 44 transactions in 1 minute. So 44 transactions happened, like the person deposited $10,000, and in 1 day, that $10,000 went through 44 different transactions. So that means it went through 44 different money mules. And so to answer your question, that's a money mule. After they've used you, and they now tell you, oh, go open a bank account. Or, you know, I'm gonna have if somebody wants to pay me, I'm gonna have them send money to you or wire money to you so you can wire it to me. Now you've become a money mule.
So a lot of these victims that get caught up in scams, a lot of them are money mules, right?
Yes,
they just don't know it.
Yes, they are money mule. If somebody ever called you, say, hey, can you open a bank account? I'm going to send you a check for you to deposit for me. Or I'm going to have a friend of mine wire you money or send you a crypto or whatever. You are a money mule.
So what can these money mules, I mean, even if they don't really know what they're doing, can they get into legal trouble? Absolutely.
Absolutely. The federal government has passed a law where we can kind of target, you know, these scams because, I mean, if you look online, you know, in 1 year, the amount of money that they take from people is huge. So we try not to jump on money mules to charge them. But really, you know, I don't know, or I didn't know the law is not a defense in a court of law. Whether you need or not, if you go out there, you start speeding, you can't, if you get caught by a cop, you can't say, well, I didn't know, because you knew that you're not supposed to speed. So you can really get in some serious trouble. We're talking about 15 to 20 years in federal prison.
Well, that's something that I don't think a lot of people completely understand, because I know we see at the credit union, we see a lot of people that get caught up in these scams. And I mean, EK, where's this money, like the money that goes to these scammers, what are they doing with it?
So I'll give you an example. I worked a case where the victim, who was a money mule, was believed that she was talking to 50 Cent. The rapper, right? And she is a money mule. The money went through her, through crypto, and then I traced the crypto. In 1 day, the money ended up in Nigeria. And when I looked up the guy, I got his Instagram account, and I looked at him. This guy's living like a king. He has all kinds of cars, like something that I probably wouldn't even get a chance to touch in my life. So he's living this luxury life, having this lady send him all her money and now funneling money through her. So these people are using you, and they're building mansions. They are having all the famous women in the world. They're living life that you and I are probably dreaming, but probably not going to get it.
There's a lot. Does it go to like terrorism or anything like that?
Yes. So another thing is, I worked another investigation where the money went, I traced the crypto again. The money went from North Carolina to Nigeria. And then the money was withdrawn in Naira, which is Nigerian's currency, and then ended up in Turkey. Everybody knows what kind of country Turkey is. Turkey is not a friend of the United States, right? And to all these countries that support terrorism around the world. So you might be sending your money to a terrorist organization that might be, you know, kind of making some kind of plot against the United States. So if you get charged with, financing terrorism, you're most likely going to die in jail. Because, you're paying somebody who's going to buy guns, buy bombs, and then come destroy us. And I don't think the federal government is going to give you a pass on that.
Yeah. Well, that's, what about, so another term, money laundering. Can you explain what money laundering is?
Yes. So I'm going to read the textbook of what the statute says, but then I will tell you what it is. The money laundering is the process of illegally concealing the origin of the money obtained from illicit activities such as drug trafficking, corruption, embezzlement, gambling. So basically, the power to lend money is for financial institutions, right? If you're not a financial institution, you can give out loans to people. So the idea that people can just send money to other people, it has to be a gift. But if I was a drug trafficker, by now you'll figure out that I'm not a drug trafficker. But if I was a drug trafficker and I make a lot of money, drug traffickers know that if they get caught, the federal government is going to take all their money, right? So what they do is they create shell accounts, or they put the money into the money into their grandma's account or something like that. So if you're doing any kind of illegal activity and you're transferring the money from one place to another to conceal your illegal activity, then you are a suspect, or you are a suspect of money laundering. And not only you're a suspect of money laundering, when we get to federal statutes, you'll be charged with wire fraud, bank fraud. All this stuff. At least 15 years in prison for each one of them. So, it may be that you're not necessarily doing anything illegal, but if I was doing something illegal and I was sending you the money, then you've also participated in the crime. So whether you knew or not, again, it's not a defense in the court of law.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I'll let you have a break. You can and I know this screen's acting up, but if you look over here, it's the same thing. So I mentioned earlier about how a lot of these scammers are very forceful. They use a lot of different scare tactics to kind of to convince you to do what they want you to do. Stacy, what are some of those scare tactics that you can think of?
Yep, they use threats. So I know we mentioned like the IRS scams or jury duty. So you may get a call and they threaten that the police are going to come arrest you because you haven't shown up for jury duty. There may be some sort of family crisis. They may threaten you with what they have on your computer. So with a tech support scam, they may say, oh, we have, information from your computer. If you don't go pay immediately, you're going to be arrested. There's always high pressure language and urgency. And sometimes it's even maybe not a threat, but a fear of missing out. So if it's an investment scam, there's going to be an unusually high return on your money, and you have to go act very quickly. Just one kind of tip I would suggest is don't answer any phone calls that you don't know who it is. So if you've got caller ID and you don't know the person that's on the screen, just ignore that call. Because once you've engaged with them, it's really hard to stop engaging with them. And once they get their hooks into you, it's really hard to stop. You can also block phone numbers. You can go and add yourself to the do not call registry. You may be able to work with your phone carrier to eliminate some of those robocalls and things like that. Again, it's always a time crunch and a pressure. If you don't go do this right now, something bad is going to happen. You're going to lose all of your money. One big thing we're seeing a lot, like I mentioned earlier, is your funds in your bank are not safe. You need to go withdraw the money in cash and put it in an ATM, a cryptocurrency ATM. We can all right now say that doesn't make any sense, right? But when you're under that crunch and under that scare tactic and you think your money is going to be gone, we could see how you could easily fall for those things. So just calm down, listen, don't feel the pressure, and talk to somebody.
Well, John, what about from like an IT standpoint? What are some of the scare tactics you see?
So IT standpoint, a lot of ransomware where they'll encrypt your data on your computer and then basically just hold it hostage until you pay some exorbitant fee to unencrypt the data. And a lot of those rings are run by legitimate, like EK was kind of talking about the rings that they're legit, in their country or wherever they're working, they're a legitimate business. So they're getting paid, an hourly rate. That's their job. And you'll be asked to pay a whole bunch of money. A lot of similar tactics, sense of urgency. Your computer has a virus to get you to allow them access to your computer. And sometimes the only thing that they want is access to your computer, because then they can use your computer to do other mischievous deeds. They'll play on human emotion, get family members involved. Everybody's susceptible to emotional tactics. We're all human. So if they get you scared or worried or fearful, it'll definitely make you react in a non-critical way. So again, the best thing to do is to kind of calm down and try to think critically about these situations and not, and not allow your emotions to dictate what you're going to do.
Thank you. So, Stacy, you mentioned the cryptocurrency earlier. So, I mean, obviously, that's one way that the scammers want you to pay. I mean, you want to elaborate on that or any other ways?
So I'd say the most common, first attempt is going to be to ask for payment through gift card. So especially any of the smaller scams, they're going to test you out and ask you to, if you miss jury duty, okay, you have to go pay $500. Go buy an Apple or iTunes gift card and read the number off of the back. And the reason they do that is it's not traceable. They aren't going to be the money is going to be sucked off immediately. There's no way you can get it back from your financial institution because you willingly purchased the gift card. We have people that go sometimes to Target and buy $5,000 worth of gift cards and then read the numbers off the back. Happens all the time. So that's the number one, I would say. That's a testing out. And then if it's a sweetheart scam, for instance, they maybe needed that money to get to you. There's going to be another story. There's always another story for why they need more money. So then it may move on to a wire transfer. They ask you to wire money to somebody, not to them, but to a third party. Because they need money for an attorney, or there's always a big story about why the money is needed, but you're never sending money to the person you're talking to. It's always to a third party, which goes back to that money laundering and money muling. Hopefully your financial institution can catch that and talk to you about wire transfers. We're seeing less and less of that because we're stopping those wires, because we're seeing that it's fraud. The biggest hot topic, like I said now, is cryptocurrency ATMs. So the scammers I'm not exactly sure how it works, but they'll send you sometimes a QR code or their handle on cryptocurrency, and they say, go send the money, withdraw the money in cash, take the cash and put it into the cryptocurrency ATM. And then I'll come visit you, or whatever the scam may be. Well, that money is pretty much immediately gone, and it's hard to trace because it passes hand to hand to hand. We have seen people lose their life savings this way, and it's really hard to get that any money back. Mailing cash, if anybody ever asks you to mail cash, that's a scam. MoneyGram is a big one as well. I would just say the bottom line is never send money to somebody that you don't know. If a government agency or like the IRS or somebody is saying to send money one of these ways, it is 100% a scam. So if you ever have questions, talk to somebody you trust, talk to your financial institution. But the bottom line is, if they're asking for money, it's probably a scam.
And a lot of those crypto ATMs, they're in our gas stations, right, EK? Aren't they all around?
Yes, they are all around Clayton, and there are different companies, different exchange, like BTM Express, Bitcoin Depot, Coin Flip. they're all different entities, but whenever you put the money into the ATM, the money is gone. Basically, what they do is they'll send you a QR code, and so that's what they call a wallet. So before you can do anything, you go out there, you got to put your phone number and all that stuff, and then you scan that QR code. So when you put the money in, that goes onto that wallet. That's their wallet. And on the machine, it clearly says, do not send any money to somebody else. Send it to only your personal wallet. So when you get there, I would even say, don't do it. Like, learn to be greedy with your money, because you've worked hard for it. You know, I don't care if they're your kids, your grandkids. They need to come and get it. If they really need the money, they need to come and get the money. Don't send your money to anybody, especially through crypto. It's very, very, very hard to do anything with it. I mean, it's doable. We're doing it, but it's very hard.
So a lot of the, big questions too that we get is how to prevent being a victim of a scam. So what, Stacey, I'll go back to you. How can you prevent being a victim?
Again, number one, don't answer the phone if you don't know who's calling you. Slow down. Don't react so quickly. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So, it could be with money muling a lot. We see like work from home jobs, or somebody was mentioning earlier, wrapping your car, let me send you this check and you can deposit it into your account and then send the money on to me and keep a little bit for yourself. So that's illegal. So if it sounds too good to be true in any realm, then it probably is. Slow down. Does it make sense? Research what you're doing. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to protect yourself, technologically as well.
And that's the one thing I know I'll say too, is that because we see this all the time again at the branch, is folks freak out and they don't talk to anybody. And I was talking to somebody earlier today talking about how, they were scammed but didn't tell their kids, and that's common. They're embarrassed. They're afraid that their kids are going to say, Mom, Dad, what are you doing? And they don't want to go through that mess. You don't have to talk to your kids. If you don't feel that comfortable, go talk to your local financial institution. Go talk to your police department, because they will get you and help clarify it. That's the biggest thing, is just stop whatever it is and go talk to somebody. We try to, highlight that a lot. But sorry, John, so from an IT side, what can you do to prevent being taken advantage of and being a victim?
So make sure that your computers are updated, all the security patches, apps on your phone, those count as well. Make sure your phone's operating systems are updated. Again, make sure you have antivirus, anti-malware installed on your computer. Make sure that is regularly updated. You can in the event that you do get some virus on there and you're unsure, take it to somebody, take it to a professional to clean it. You know what I mean? Don't just live with it. You know what I'm saying? Because the longer it's on there, the worse things can become. But again, most importantly, if you're involved in a scam, is try to take a step back and realize that maybe this isn't real. I need to slow down. I need to use some critical thinking here and not fall for it, which is easier said than done. But
so one of the questions I got earlier today was, and I don't know if you can answer, if you have a couple answers, but what's a popular antivirus computer software?
Yeah. You can, there's hundreds out there. You've got Norton, which is a popular one. You've got some lesser known ones, like Avast is a pretty powerful one that not a lot of people know about. FortiClient. I would stay away from one of the big names is Kaspersky. It's run by a Russian company. I would probably stay away from that. McAfee is another one that's pretty popular and usually loaded on most new computers when you purchase them. And then a nice anti-malware tool is Malwarebytes, which can be downloaded. There's a free version. You can also pay for it. The paid for version, you can actually schedule scans on it, so it'll almost be like you can kind of set it and forget it. It'll update itself. It'll scan. It'll alert you if something's detected. So.
Okay. Well, good. Well, so, I mean, let's keep going with you with technology. What's some of the technology that these scammers use to take advantage of you?
So they some of the skimmers and NFC readers that they use. A skimmer is basically a device that they install on a credit card reader. So when you're going to the gas station, and I think there's a picture in your pamphlet of it. They'll usually take 3D printed piece of plastic with a reader in it, and they'll slip it over the real credit card reader. So you'll go ahead and slide your card in. You'll pay for your transaction, but your credit card information is also being read off of that. NFC or your, you can pay for stuff with your Apple Pay and it's basically just a contactless payment. So your credit cards all have NFC chips in them now, where you can just kind of tap so that NFC readers are designed just to read that information. Even if your credit card is in your wallet, somebody could come up to your wallet and just tap it real quick and get your credit card information. So they do make wallets that block that NFC signal. And then as far as the skimmers go, you can check the device before you actually insert your card, make sure it hasn't been tampered with, shop at a legitimate merchant. Don't go, to some, Wild Bill's gas station. And then you can also, there's a ton, but, I had mentioned before, make sure your computers are updated, your apps are updated. Sometimes we had talked about phone calls. So these scammers can actually spoof phone numbers. So sometimes they do look like legitimate phone numbers, but once you start talking to them, you might be able to recognize, all right, this doesn't quite seem right. So if you ever get that feeling, just say, okay, well, I'm going to hang up now. I'm going to go ahead and call the institution. If I have a credit card and you have a credit card with that company, or you bank with that company, it's okay to hang up and then call them back. Go look up the real number online, call them back and talk with them like that. Sometimes they can scam a number that might be in your contact list. So that is a little bit harder to detect. But if Jim is calling you and it's not Jim on the phone, it's probably not Jim. So just remember that as well. They can use, deep fake ads, which is kind of a new technology where these ads look like, legitimate people. A lot of it is on social media, where you'll see a product being sold, and it looks like, Matthew McConaughey is selling this product, but it's not really Matthew McConaughey. So you go ahead and you buy some diet pill or something that's not legitimate. You know what I mean? So those are going to get really hard to detect too, as the technology gets improved.
And I could tell you, when we met about this meeting to kind of get everything, we were talking about deep fake ads, and I was like, deep fake ads? I kind of knew what it was, but I hadn't heard that term, deep fake ad.
Yeah.
I Googled it, and yeah, it's pretty crazy that they could make on the computer, they can make somebody look like someone else. And it's really good. I saw some Russian ad that had Bruce Willis on it, and on YouTube I was watching it, and it looked like Bruce Willis in this ad, and it wasn't him at all. They just did it all on the computer.
And they're going to start using those in like a political platform too, to sway people's opinions one way or another. So again, it's going to be hard to detect, but you just got to try to use your best judgment, think critically about it. We've already talked about phishing attacks. State Employees Credit Union is never going to send you an email from a Gmail account. You know what I mean? So just always try to look at that sender email. Don't download attachments that are in those emails. Don't click on links that are in those emails, because all of those attachments and those links could lead you to a malicious website or have some malicious content in the attachment. Even if it looks like a Word document, it can be a piece of malware, or it can be a virus. And then ransomware is another one. So we talked about this again. Make sure your operating systems are updated. Make sure that you've use the caution when opening those links. Make sure you've got an antivirus. We just kind of gave you a list of some. There's plenty more out there. Those aren't always, they're not the only ones. So, I mean, if you talk to a friend or a family member and they suggest one, as long as you've got something reputable on your computer that's scanning on a regular basis and staying updated, it's not going to keep you 100% safe, but it's definitely better than not having anything on there at all. So you want to make sure you do that.
All right, thank you. So Stacy, what is a good way for somebody to stay up to date on scams?
There are several resources. The Federal Trade Commission is probably my favorite. You can go on to their website, ftc.gov. You can sign up for alerts, so you can put your email address in there and they'll send you, it's not too often, but maybe weekly, some common scams that we're seeing. There's a lot of great resources out there too. So if you ever think, is this legit? You could just type that in and maybe find some resources about that type of scam. AARP is also a great resource. They have a fraud watch network. So they have little short videos about different common frauds that are happening. You can sign up for alerts with them as well. The CFPB also has some good information. One thing I wanted to mention that I didn't kind of adds on to this, I think you mentioned smishing, which is another kind of word that's kind of strange. But we see this a lot. I heard this on a fraud call with the credit union. People are getting text messages and it may say from State Employees Credit Union and it says your card has been used for $5,000. We don't send text messages like that, but there's what is in that text message is a URL. So you'll click on that and then it'll start asking you to enter your either your credit card information or your sign-on information, and then your information is exposed. I've gotten them also from Amazon. Around Christmas time, I got them from the Postal Service. Your package can't be delivered. So anytime you get one of those texts, just again, pause and realize that it's probably not legitimate.
Okay, good. And I know one thing I'll throw in there, somebody, I was trying to remember who it was that told me, they were talking about how their mom keeps getting scammed. And it's because everything that she sees online that looks interesting and she wants to buy, she goes ahead and buys it. And it's always just from some scammer, some ad on the side of a web page or something along those lines. And she keeps telling her mom, stay away from those. If you want something, just stick to Amazon, So that's something I just wanted to throw in there. But so if someone does get scammed, and we get this question a lot, what do they do? I mean, EK kind of like what resources do they have? What would the police do if they come to you?
So if you find yourself in that situation, it's not, don't be embarrassed about it. They talked about resources. You can always go to the Clayton Police Department's website, and we have all the resources listed on there for you to go through. And I will share this with you. Last month, I received a report. I mean, if you go online, you file a report for any fraud activity, it comes back to law enforcement. So I received a report from Consumer Protection Agency. It was a doctor. So this story is just to tell you that you should not be embarrassed if you become a victim of a scam. Remember, I said there are criminals, so anybody can be a victim of a crime, right? So, well, I was a victim this morning because criminals broke into my work car. So if they can be bold enough to break into a police vehicle, then they're targeting everybody. So a report came and it was filed by a doctor. He lost over $1 million. $1 million, 1 and 6 zeros. And the bad thing is he was married, so he was talking to this female who he believed that he was dating. So he was, not only he was embarrassed, he couldn't even say it out loud because he couldn't. And on the report, there's a box that said, what do you want to see happen with this case? And he said, well, I just want her to be caught so that she can do this to somebody else. He doesn't even want the police to investigate it because for us to investigate, we have to come to his house and talk to him. And then his wife is going to find out about it, right? So if somebody who's gone to school years, 7, 8 years of college and residency and all this stuff, and he's a victim, I mean, anybody can, right? Because when you go to the doctor, you trust these people with your health because they're smart. Not everybody gets to be a doctor. So if you are a victim, just share it with somebody, call the police, come to us. It may be hard, but we can still try, I can't talk about ongoing investigations, but if you follow the news, you know that the town of Clayton was the victim last year. And I mean, we jump in, we do what we can, and I can tell you stories after stories, how many times we were able to recover money back for people. If you call right away, we can jump on it. There are ways to recover money back for you. It's not guaranteed, but we can try. But time is of the essence. If you get scammed today, we need to know today so we can get on the ball. But if you wait a month from now, then the money is probably gone. I mean, we're running behind the 8 ball. It's already gone, right? So just try your best. If you become a victim, and if you don't want to talk to your family about it, go to your bank, talk to them, because they have no interest in your money. Those are people, that's all they do every day. They look at hundreds of bank accounts every day. They don't even remember how much money you have after you leave. So you need to go to talk to them, and most likely they'll call us. Or go to the police. I mean, we get paid, through taxpayers. We work for you. Come to us. We will do our best. I mean, we're not going to guarantee, but, we'll sit here all day for me to tell you stories of how many times people came to us and we were able to recover money. It might not be all of it, but something's better than nothing. So, there are websites that we can help you. If we can do it here in Clayton, like I say, I work closely with federal agencies, like there are websites where you can go on and file a report, and the federal agencies are there to just track that and track the account that the money went into and try to recover the money for you. But you have to take action before we can help you.
And that IC3 report, or website, that's a good one for that. Right?
Yes. So IC3 report is a very good tool. So the FBI has a department that's over that section, and if you file a report, it's not just for scam, for any online, somebody's harassing you online, somebody threatening you online, you can go there and file a report, and I have access to it. All I have to do is type your name into it, and then I'll find your report. But that anybody can do it for you. If you call me today, you say, hey, I just sent $100,000 to somebody. It's a lot of money. So all I do is I enter your information, everything that you told me in there. And the FBI monitors this. So they have people who are looking at this all day long, and they can kind of go in and track that money to see if they can seize any money in the account that the money went into and return it for you eventually. But you got to take action. You got to call us. You got to come to us. We're not going to know unless you tell us.
So, Stacy, what do financial institutions, or what does the credit union do if a member comes to them or comes to the credit union and has been a victim? What do we do?
Well, we would, of course, if you're admitted that you've been a victim, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
You already know that you've been scammed. We would encourage you to treat it as identity theft. A lot of times, when you've been scammed, you've given personal information, your social security number, driver's license, date of birth. So the scammers potentially have a lot of your personal information. So you would want to go out to the different credit bureaus. You can actually run a credit report every year for free on annual credit report .com, and then as long as everything looks good, you can freeze your credit. So then nobody can go out and take new loans out in your name. You know, of course, depending on the situation, we would look and see if there's anything we could do as far as filing a dispute. But a lot of times, like we talked about before, if you're willingly buying these gift cards or sending this money through cash, there's nothing that we could do to help you recoup any of that money. We really want people just to know that the main thing we're looking out for is to protect them and their money. That's the only thing that we have in mind. So just trust your financial institution to be on your side as far as whether something is legitimate or not.
All right, and John, from what kind of tech resources can they?
So if you want to kind of be updated on any new security threats out there, CISA.gov is a good one, CISA. Some of it's some boring read, but I mean, it's very educational. I love it. But you can also do antiphishing.org. So if you are a victim of maybe a phish, you can report some of that stuff to those organizations. Identitytheft.gov is another good one if you're a victim of identity theft. And one thing that I really want to say, and I meant to say it earlier, if everybody's using social media or Facebook, that kind of thing, a lot of information can be pulled from that. So you need to, number one, make sure your profiles are secure. Make sure you're limiting the amount of information that you're sharing on those profiles. And then when you see posts that are asking for, hey, what state did you grow up in? Or what's your favorite pet's name? You have to realize those are all the answers to those security questions that you use when you go to protect your account. So when you're posting those answers, they're collecting that information on you. So it's not legitimate. I've had to tell my mother hundreds of times not to answer those. So I know how it is. So just be wary when you're using those types of things. And I wanted to mention that before, just because that's pretty important. A lot of people are using social media now, so make sure your accounts are protected, your passwords are protected, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I know I'll throw out one thing is so when I was trying to get the word out about this event, and I posted on my Facebook, and it was my son's best friend's mother reached out to me, and she said, hey, this is what I do for a living. She works for Secretary of State, and she's like, I can get you all the information you need. And she kind of pointed out one recent kind of, I guess, newer scam that's popping up more. It's you getting a random text on your phone that's to the wrong number. So it might say, hey, thanks for reaching out to me. You get a random text. It might say, thanks for reaching out to me. It's tough having this loss in my life. And you look at it and say, I think you got the wrong number. And you start feeling bad for them. And they start talking to you and saying, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. I sent this to the wrong person. Yeah, I just lost my son, or something along those lines. And you feel bad. And you become friends. And then you end up falling in love with them and sending them all your money. So that's kind of it's been happening more and more. But the one thing, all y'all have those packets in front of you. A lot of this information, including these last two slides, are in the packets. We just want to give you as much information as you can, as we can get you, just so that you have it. Feel free to share this information too. And I know, us do, and I'm sure a lot of the financial institutions will be more than happy to talk to you any other time that you want. We'll go out and if you got a local group, organization, or anything. I mean, we went to a little local book club at the library and talked about this stuff. So if you have that, please reach out to one of us.